works on a particular grant or project with you, I would encourage you to make them members of your cheerleading tribe, okay? Because you need a tribe. I love that word, because I do yoga, I love that word. Not your group, not your clique, but your tribe. Make them members of your tribe, because these are the people that you're going to meet down at Tate Street Coffee and have coffee with when you're frustrated, that are going to remind you that we have wheels, okay? I'm going to say that so much today, that we have wheels, right? So what I want to do is I want us to go around and introduce ourselves, but I want to know who, you know, the typical, right? Your name, what department you're in, and what your research is. Let's not take an hour, right? Let's try to keep it to like 60 seconds per person. But I want you to give me one real memorable thing that's going to tell us a lot about you, a lot about your roots, okay? I want to know what your favorite cereal was when you were a kid. You know, the one that you would get up in the morning and like, even if your parents weren't up yet, you'd like run in the kitchen and try to like pour your own bowl and pour the milk and spill it everywhere. And then you go sneak and turn the TV on to watch the cartoons. I want to know that cereal. What was that cereal? Okay, and if it wasn't a cereal, it was something else. You know, like you were sneaking a Snickers bar. I want to know that. Okay? I want to know that. You want to start us off?
Sure.
Thank you.
So, my name is John Palazzolo. I'm a fourth-year PhD student, trying desperately to finish my dissertation. Basically, I study the effects of subconcussive head impacts, how it affects posture and the nervous system. I think my favorite cereal is eating. What's really good is you make an ice cream sandwich out of 2 Eggo waffles.
Ice cream sandwich out of 2 Eggo waffles. I love it.
It's actually pretty good.
So it wasn't cereal for you.
No.
It was a waffle ice cream sandwich.
I'm Mitch Zaplatosh. I'm a third-year PhD student in exercise physiology. My research interests focus on hydration and fluid intake as relates to energy balance. I do have a cereal, and it's seasonal, so yeah, it's only around this time. Surprisingly, though, it's not a pumpkin cereal.
No.
It's actually Count Chocula. It's like a Halloween cereal. Like, every time it comes this year, it's still my favorite.
Count Chocula.
I have a box at home.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Emily Vetchke. I'm a third-year PhD student. I'm also in the Department of Kinesiology, specifically with exercise physiology. My research interests involve non-invasive markers of cardiac autonomic activity, especially in women across the menstrual cycle and recovery from exercise. And I don't know, I wasn't much of a breakfast person, but I had hot chocolate every morning as a kid. Growing up, which probably led to my further addiction to caffeine later on, just having that warm cup of something in the morning. So it was hot chocolate out of a little teddy bear cup.
Hi, I'm Krista Mader. I'm a third-year PhD student in kinesiology, concentration in applied neuromechanics, and my research focuses on gait asymmetry and using virtual reality. When I was really young, my mom had a cereal. It was called Blueberry Morning, and I loved it, and would always pick out the blueberries from it and leave the rest of the cereal.
Were they real blueberries or were they like the freeze-dried?
They were the freeze-dried.
Yeah, I mean, the freeze-dried blueberries,
But they
strawberries
had to be in
with
the
all those,
the milk, or else they would eat them.
with all that stuff that we think we're not supposed to eat today, right? But it was good. Yes.
Hi, my name is Aram Jung. I'm an assistant professor in School of Nursing here. My research interest is cancer survivorship, and especially I am looking for the quality of life and uncertainty in blood bladder cancer. And also I'm interested in the leukemia, lymphoma cases as well, because my clinical experience was in that area. So my breakfast item was actually I'm from South Korea, so I had rice and soup as my
Breakfast, yes.
So it's not really a cereal.
That's traditional. I've been to Korea, but that was traditional breakfast that I eat in China and Japan too. It was rice and soup, maybe a little bit of fish.
My name is Crystal Epstein. I'm an assistant professor in the School of Nursing, and my research focuses on life course diversity in women and how that affects cortisol regulation in pregnancy. More recently, I'm looking at circadian aspects of heart rate during pregnancy. And I think my favorite breakfast thing was just butter on white bread when I was like, butter and white bread toast.
Sam Schultz, professor of kinesiology and director for the Center for Women's Health and Wellness. My research is studying knee injuries in women, trying to understand why females are more at risk for knee injury than males. And my breakfast was Fruit Loops.
I like that.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lori Hubbard, and I'm a visiting assistant professor here in the School of Nursing with my colleagues. We're a tribe. We're making our tribe with your nursing. I look at breastfeeding complications throughout the breastfeeding course and when those complications could derail breastfeeding and mom could wean at that time. So I'm looking to help her get past. That's my why. Just sitting with moms, crying and struggling, trying to make their feeding plan work, and how I could help make that happen. And my mom used to send Fruit Loops in a Ziploc bag with me to snack at school. So I just extended the breakfast food all throughout the day.
There you go.
It's not just for breakfast.
No, not just for breakfast.
My name is Rebecca Sermonero. I'm a first-year PhD student in the Department of Kinesiology with a concentration in exercise physiology. My interests are kind of all over the place, scattered, but they revolve around the menstrual cycle, physical activity, and energy balance. And probably I want to say my favorite cereal is probably the Special K with the freeze-dried strawberries. But I also have to say the Hot Fudge Sundae Pop-Tarts were also a close second. So that's it.
Morning, everyone. My name is Jessica McNeil. I'm an assistant professor in kinesiology. My research focuses on study of energy balance as well as exercise interventions, notably in individuals with obesity as well as cancer. My go-to is always Pop-Tarts. Yeah.
Any particular flavor?
Oh, it rotated.
Oh,
It was probably, I was torn between the strawberry and the chocolate.
Oh.
Yeah, but it rotated. It was always out next to the toaster. It's like, that's for tomorrow morning. You put it out the night before.
My name is Jessie. I've just started my PhD in exercise physiology. Research areas in hydration, heat stress. Cereal. We don't really do cereal at home, but the number one thing we did as a kid is we have this thing that's called Milo. Oh, sorry, I'm from Australia. It's kind of like Nesquik, but it's like a little bit finer, I guess. So you essentially just put it in the bottom of like a cup of milk, and what you would do is you'd normally have like a tablespoon, and as a kid you'd be like, how many can I fit in? Like 4 or 5 tablespoons before you get caught to the point that you just like suffocate yourself with the amount of adding, and then you just chop it on the top as well. So yeah.
Nice.
My name is Hannah Cope. I'm a first-year PhD student in exercise physiology. My research interests are food reward, energy balance, and body composition. And as a kid, my sneak out at midnight and eat a snack was Cocoa Puffs for the cereal and Nutella off of the night.
Nutella, yes.
All right, I'm Sam Goldstein. I'm a third-year PhD student in expos. My area of interest is how hormones and inflammation change with exercise in females. And my favorite breakfast, which I'm a little ashamed to admit this, but I was obsessed with Lucky Charms as a kid. I don't know if I actually eat the cereal now, but I loved it as a child.
I'm Justin Fegley. I'm a first-year PhD student in kinesiology in the applied neuromechanics concentration. My research interest is ACL injury risk factors. My background is in athletic training, so my interest is ACL injury risk factors across the maturation process. And my favorite cereal would be Reese's Puffs, and I'd always done chocolate milk on them too, because I'm a chocolate addict, and I love that with the Reese's Puffs cereal. I always thought that was a really good thing.
I'm Brittany Ingram. I'm a second-year PhD student in exercise and sports science at UNC Chapel Hill. And my research interests revolve around social and structural determinants of health as they pertain to sport-related concussion. And my go-to breakfast as a kid was untoasted brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts.
Oh, those are my favorite flavor.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm Eric Droletti. I'm an assistant professor in kinesiology. My research interests are in neurocognitive kinesiology with an emphasis looking at antecedents, consequences of physical activity, particularly in children. My go-to wasn't necessarily a cereal. It could be any of them, but I grew up on a dairy farm. And so the best part was to get the milk from the tank the night before so that by morning the cream had already separated from the milk. And so it was, when you add it to cereal, it's pretty much having ice cream for breakfast. So that was my go-to for breakfast.
We have a dairy farm and I still buy the cream on top milk.
Yep.
I know. Everybody's like, what do you mean you buy that milk? I'm like, I buy that milk. That's the only milk I drink. That's what I buy.
It was great.
Hi, my name is Sun. I'm first year PhD student studying community sport development in the Department of Kinesiology. I use sports and physical activities as a vehicle to develop social and emotional competencies in youth, and I implement sports-based youth development program in physical education high school and some community settings. Just like her, I'm from South Korea. I grew up in South Korea, and I ate a lot of rice and other stuff. But here, it's not my favorite. But I eat bagels or banana, some eggs, anything I have. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Kim Littlefield, Office of Research and Engagement. Once upon a time, I was a molecular cardiac physiologist. Now my passion is building strong research teams and making sure that your livelihoods are going as well as they can. And I'll tell you, my favorite breakfast was untoasted brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts and Special K, because my dad convinced me that I was the K in Special K. So, and now that it has the freeze-dried strawberries, I'm all over that.
Even better?
Yeah, even better, yep.
My name is Jeff Milroy. I'm an assistant professor in public health education. Also associate director of our Institute to Promote Athlete Health and Wellness. Investigate a lot of risk and protective factors associated with athlete well-being. Mental health, sleep, concussion reporting, kind of across the board. My mom didn't allow us to have any sweet cereals. And so it worked, because I think it's a joke my kids get them now. So, but for me, a treat that we have in Canada is they're called Flakies. And I would dig through jackets in the closet to find as much change as possible to go across the street to the grocery store and buy a 6-pack and hide and eat all of those. It's like pastry on top, pastry on bottom, strawberry and cream in the middle is fantastic. But like a Little Debbie, like it's not fancy, like it's
Of
yeah,
course,
yeah.
none of this is fancy.
Yeah, all fake, all fake.
It's all super sugar.
David Wyrick, Public Health Education. I'm a prevention scientist with a special interest in the optimization of behavioral interventions. I direct the Institute to Promote Athlete Health and Wellness. My favorite cereal was Frosted Flakes. I would add about a half a cup of sugar to it so I can scrape the sugar off the bottom of the bowl. It was a good way to start the day.
I did that with my Cheerios. Lots of sugar.
My name's Jonathan Lucas. I'm a third-year PhD student in the Department of Public Health Education. I'm also getting a certificate in Women and Gender Studies. My research background historically has been HIV treatment and prevention. More recently, I'm focusing a lot on COVID-19. And my cereal of choice growing up and still today is Captain Crunch, the peanut butter crunch.
My name is Amy Lee. I'm a fourth-year PhD student in the Department of Public Health Education. My focus is on African-American chronic, rural African-American chronic conditions. Can't hear me?
Yeah, a little bit louder.
Oh, okay. My focus is rural African-American chronic conditions, and my dissertation is on a focus on obesity and rural African-American females between the ages of 12 and 19. I am also getting a postdoc in health coaching. That is something I do currently for a living. And my favorite cereal growing up, I'm taking it way back, is Kix.
Oh.
Yes. No. I ate so much of that when I was little, I don't do that. I don't even eat cereal anymore.
Oh, I still do.
Second choice, I'm with Dave with Frosted Flakes. That is something we would take and hide in our room. Yes, me and my brother. And we wouldn't eat, we didn't need milk or anything with that.
Just eat it out of the box, right?
Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Tawfiq, third year doctoral student in the Department of Public Health Education. My research is around social determinants of health and how that associates or affects with non-communicable disease, mainly cardiovascular health. My dissertation topic is how anti-immigrant policies are associated with diabetes. And what else? So I'm an international student, so I'm from another country, Southeast Asia. My country is Bangladesh. So in that region, rice is very popular dish, rice with curry. So people eat that a lot, even like three times a day. But my mom said eating too much rice is not good, even like in the morning especially. So I'm very habituated to eat like bread paratha, like the circular thing, with vegetables in the morning. So I'm doing that.
What's the bread called?
Paratha, like it's a round, circular shaped bread.
The frittata?
You have to soak it.
But you're spelling it paratata, right, with a P?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paratha.
Paratha.
Yeah.
Is it like the same bread you make dosa out of?
Kind of. Yeah.
Nice.
Hi everybody, my name is Lisa Noble. I'm the director of the Office of Research Integrity. So we manage the IRB, ICOOK, and biological research protocols that come through all committees. Our office also deals with conflict of interest and other things. And so like Kim, my goal in life is to make sure that your path in your research is free. So we help with meeting all of the federal guidelines. So let's see, y'all have all said a number of my favorite cereals growing up. Fruit Rouge, Frosted Flakes, Captain Crunch. I was there. If that was in our house, that's what I would get up and see. It was sugary cereal, man. I couldn't get enough of it.
My name is Donna Duffy. My area of research is really focused on female athletes, repetitive head trauma, and the neuroendocrine response to that as it relates to menstrual cycle outcome. In terms of cereal, I still eat cereal. So I eat cereal for dinner at least 3 nights a week. Ever since I was a kid, I did that as well. But if I had to pick a sugary cereal, it's hands down peanut butter Captain Crunch. Love it.
See, I'm learning all this interesting stuff about you guys through which cereal you like, and which Pop-Tart flavor, and how much rice that you eat and soup you eat, right?
I'm Mona Flynn, and I'm an EPD student in kinesiology. I'm a second-year student, and my research interest is needing to be narrowed. So the further I go, the steeper whatever that time is to try and come up with that. But I taught yoga and yoga therapy for the hospital for special populations. And that is one lean, and the other is that I work a lot with immigrant and refugee women using yoga to really understand barriers to movement, and so that is part of my why. When I was a kid, we were new to this country, and my mom allowed us to embrace all kinds of new ways. So the cereal we had in the Midwest was called Kaboom. Does anybody ever?
Kaboom.
Kaboom?
Yeah, K-A-B-O-O-M.
Right.
Came in was it an orange box, right?
Yes, with lots of red and yellow dye and sugar. and the second favorite was anything peanut butter. So to this day, like putting peanut butter on anything at breakfast is just like a no-brainer. Yeah. Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Casey Broadus. I'm a senior here at UNCG. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna start over. My name is Casey Broadus. I'm a senior here at UNCG. And I'm majoring in public health education. Currently, right now, I'm an undergraduate research assistant with Dr. Duffy and Dr. Schultz. And I want to pursue genetic counseling after this. So for me, I didn't really have a favorite cereal growing up, but my dad used to love toaster strudels, specifically the Boston cream pie one. So those were my favorite also, like just sneaking his.
Very good.
Hi everyone, my name is Jared McWhirter. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Nutrition. My research generally is food environment, food access, but I'm getting a lot into technology lately and how we can leverage technology to modify dietary behaviors. I guess my favorite cereal growing up was probably Lucky Charms. I will say that one cool thing about having young kids now is that I get to relive my childhood and don't feel guilty about buying cereals and eating them with kids. It's fun.
Good morning. My name is Omari Dyson. I'm an AP assistant professor in kinesiology. Research interests. I have two of my partners here, Son and Jared here. So we do work with the community. Specifically, my focus is on obesity and specifically youth obesity and how the pandemic has exacerbated that problem. So growing up, I actually have a few cereals. One, conservatively, my mother's Jamaican, so porridge was one that she used to make. So I have not mastered that. Actually, I've not tried to do it, but after listening to your story, I'll try to do it when I get home. But it was actually a taboo cereal. I'm surprised no one said it. Fruity Pebbles. And I remember having it one time, and my parents stopped getting it for me. So I said, when I become a man, I'm going to get me a box of Fruity Pebbles. So when I went to graduate school, the first thing I did was go to whatever store it was, I can't remember anyway, Payless, and went and got a box of Fruity Pebbles and some milk. And when I had it, I realized why my parents didn't.
It's sickeningly sweet. Yes.
Hi, I'm Lori London. I'm in kinesiology, and my area of interest is cardiometabolic risk development across the lifespan. Right now, I focus largely in children and youth. And I also do a lot of work in hormones and menstrual cycle biomarkers as well. So that's my areas of interest. And similar to Jeff's, my mom did not buy sugared cereal. We did not have it in our house. But when we did, honeycomb. It's my favorite.
I just learned something about you and you're going to laugh. Okay.
Hi, I'm Jessica Dollar. I belong to a lot of different departments. My degree's in human development and family studies, so I think I'm the only developmentalist in the room, actually. But I am currently a research scientist in kinesiology and adjunct assistant professor in psychology. And I'm also the faculty fellow for the center. So my research is focused on early emotional and self-regulatory predictors of the intersection between physical and mental health. So my most recent work has been looking at early reward processing, biopsycho predictors of reward processing, underlying comorbidity between substance use and obesity. And my favorite, everything's been listed. I think I'm gonna have to go with the Pop-Tart bandwagon, but it's very specific. It's strawberry with frosting. It had to have the frosting, and it needed to be toasted, so it got that crunchiness.
Very nice. So, you guys know my name, Karen Mushton. Obviously, I'm a kinesiology PhD, and you know where I'm from in Rochester. My research is exercise and cancer, and I loved every sugary cereal my parents would ever allow in the house. And I was the one that would wake up on Saturdays and I would tiptoe to the door, and if my parents' bedroom door was still closed, I was in business. Me and my little brother, who was 4 years younger, we would go running into the kitchen, and I was old enough to get the bowls down, and he could get the box of cereal, we'd pour it in, and I was old enough to get the milk. And so we would happily be sitting there watching, you know, all this Casey and whatever in the Saturday mornings with the cartoons. I'm telling my age, right? It was not Nickelodeon. And we would sit there munching on our cereal, and our parents would eventually come out, and of course every Saturday morning, as if they did not know what we were going to do, right? What are you doing? Right? So every cereal, but the one I begged for, and it's no surprise that we get along as well as we do, was honeycombs. So I didn't expect, I never hear anybody say that either, by the way, Dr. Weidman. So,
I love the crunchiness of it.
yes, I liked it, and I liked the honeycomb and the way the milk used to come up through the middle of the pieces of the cereal. Yes. So I spent quite a bit of time before kind of going into the logistics of, you know, all the secret sauce that I think people want to hear about grant writing. I'm talking about, you know, why you're coming to do this, what it is you want to do, making you a little uncomfortable, making you do some things that you're like, why is she making us do this? Because every time you read an RFA, you're going to be like, why are they making us do that, right? There's a lot of life lessons that I'm just trying to give you time to reflect on this morning that actually are just as, if not more important than your earth-shattering magical idea. Your idea is important, and you're going to have to execute it. But again, the thing underneath it all that's going to make you successful in this is your why, your passion, your drive, your ability not to give up, your ability to work in large teams with different people who like all different kinds of breakfast foods that are wildly different than yours, okay? And the other caveat is you're going to have to know what breakfast food they like, because one day you're going to need to bring somebody a cinnamon Pop-Tart. And I say that metaphorically and for real, okay? Because this is about supporting each other. And it's not just about the intellectual part of it, which is really important, the intellect that you bring to bear on the project, but you really need to enjoy this process. You need to like it, you need to like the people you're working with, and you need to have fun. If it's not fun, it's not going to work, it's not going to last, and you won't be successful at it long term. One of my colleagues, who was the provost of Notre Dame, actually said to me, very early on in my career, I had a chance, he came and he talked to us about working on grants. And he was the first person that really sat down and talked with us about these concepts about writing grants. And I remember thinking to myself, this is just like, you know, when I was a kid and I had to figure out which sport I liked, and why I liked gymnastics, and why I did not like basketball, and why I hate golf, right? No, I don't like bowling, right? So I'm out there trying all these different things and finding my niche and where I really fit. And the same is true with research. The same is true with everything that you're going to do about this, okay? Because in all honesty, being able to be in a position where you are leading a research team is one of the highest privileges you will ever be granted in this lifetime. And I say that in all seriousness. And why do I say that? Because you have not only gotten your education and learned things, and you're able to regurgitate all the things that you've memorized and learned in your lifetime, but as a scientist, you're given the highest privilege of creating knowledge. And all those classes you sit in your women and gender studies, where you learn about the knowledge continuum, and you learn to question knowledge, and you learn about what's the definition of a fact or the definition of a theory, and you learn that facts are supposed to be things that we know and we know them definitively. And by definition, a fact cannot exist because knowledge is dynamic. And when you take this on, you take on the responsibility of being the guardian of developing the new knowledge in a way that's beneficial to the entire world. And that is more important than whether I can tell you the perfect way to write an abstract today or an ancillary or any of that. Because I'm going to give you I'm going to give you samples. So in many ways you're going to walk out of here with examples that you can take back and you can start using as models. That's the single best thing I do for any mentee that I ever have, right? I'm like, here's my grant. There you go, right? And they can sit down and work and write their own thing and use a really good model. The grant I'm sharing with you today the sections from scored a 16. So if you are wondering if it was good, it was beyond good, okay?
Very good.
So these are great models for a clinical trial that we're going to talk about. But I want you to remember this part that we just spent an hour doing, getting to know each other and all of these sort of fundamental underlying principles. Because I think sometimes in our busy world we skip over all this, right? And I'm sure there's some of you that in the last hour have been going, when is she going to get to the real meat of all of this? Okay? Everything else I'm going to tell you isn't going to matter how good you are at it if the rest of this is not in place. This is the foundation. And all of you working together as a team is the foundation. And I still remember my days at UNCG, and I will tell you that one of the most magical things that you have about choosing to be at this university versus a big high-powered medical school where I work right now, or a lot of other places that you could have chosen to go, okay? UNCG is characteristically different. UNCG wants to support their students, they want to support the individual passions of their students, they want to grow them, and they give you freedom and opportunities. They don't expect you all to fit in cookie-cutter molds. They allow you to do things a little differently. They allow you to begin creating the day you walk through these doors, and they embrace it. That's why I was here, that's why I was able to do the things that I did as a graduate student. It's why I still love this university and talk very highly of it. Because I could have gone to other places, and I can tell you now that some of the students that I work with in the medical center, it is rote. They come in, this is what you're going to do, end of discussion, don't deviate, check mark, check mark, check mark. And at the end of it, they can't think for themselves. They can't learn, they don't know how to be an adult learner, and being a researcher is all about being an adult learner, okay? So I'm going to kind of start to transition to a little bit more of the, here's the kind of nuts and bolts part of it. But before we move into that, I just want to know, what are your thoughts at this moment about this concept of the whys and your tribe and the dedication and the passion and all